Welcome to Spiritual Truths with your host Kerry-Marie. Today we're going to be discussing my development as a medium, as a psychic medium. We'll be relating back to my previous podcast when I had my first Spiritual Truths. And with me today I have my son Andre. Hi Andre.
Hey Mum.
So we decided that we'd do a different format this time and that Andre would be interviewing me and asking me various questions. So we'll kick it off, and so you're going to ask me about being a psychic medium, etc., aren't you, Andre?
Yeah, I've got a few questions prepared.
Okay, all right.
That I'll ask you. So, first question is everyone a psychic? Is anyone a psychic medium? And can anyone do this?
Okay, it's a question that a lot of people ask me quite frequently.
Yeah.
The answer, I was going to say, it varies. It depends. So we've all got certain gifts. So some people are a lot more artistic. So when they're young, they're naturally quite artistic. Mm-hmm. As a young child, I like movement and dance. I still do. I like moving my body and dance. Mm-hmm. Some people are just gifted musically. There's amazing musicians out there, or people got great voices. Some people just got a really analytical mind, so they're very logical or very sporty. And so it tends to be how we're all born with certain gifts. So with a psychic mediumship with that sort of gift, yes, anybody can do it, but some people are more inclined to be able to do this than others. For instance, so I couldn't really be a very good accountant. Even though I'm quite good with numbers, I would not be good attention to detail. It's not my forte. I'm more a big picture person.
Yeah.
So don't ask me to pay wages or be the accounts person.
Yeah.
But I can be like a marketing person or a salesperson. It's my natural ability. Mm-hmm. So with being a psychic medium, it's a very creative force and a creative energy. So I find that people that are artistic or more open-minded are more likely to have the ability than people that are analytical. Right. Because with psychic mediumship work, you've got to keep your logical brain out of it, because quite often it may not make sense. You're talking about energy. Right. And so the logical mind will close people down and get quite close-minded. And so I do find that people that come to me to train that are quite analytical find it a lot more struggle and harder. It doesn't mean you can't do it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So as an engineer, I'm probably going to have to work a little bit harder than someone that's not so logical in most of their life.
But not necessarily, because you've probably got more of a creative side talent to you.
Sure.
But some people like...
Some of my colleagues, maybe not.
Maybe some of your colleagues, you know the sort of people, and you've got to adjust yourself accordingly. So I think that, yes, anybody can learn, but some people are more that way inclined than others. Yeah.
So just like in sports, you might have someone that is naturally gifted in that sport. If you're not so naturally gifted,
exactly, you
just have to work harder. Is that right, or is it just like you're done? Like you can't be a medium, you don't have the natural gift.
You can do, but it would be a lot hard. You have to struggle quite a bit and learn a bit more about it. I know someone who is actually quite analytical. That's a medium. Yeah. And the way that he works is he works like quite black and white and evidence based. But it doesn't mean he can't have the gift, but he's had to work quite hard at it.
And what does working quite hard look like?
Working quite hard look at it. So I would say that you'd have to learn very much about what mediumship is or what psychic is. Yeah. How to put your thoughts aside, mm-hmm. and how to open up to the energy.
Right. Yeah. And is there courses on this, or is this like a personal journey? Do you get coached through it?
Oh, basically that's what I did, to be honest. I didn't really understand it. So there's a big difference between psychic and being a medium as well. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So they're two different things.
Yeah. Which is my next question is, what's the difference between being a psychic and being a medium?
Okay. So most people are quite psychic. So have you experienced yourself when you walk into a room and someone's had an argument and you can feel it?
Sure. Yeah, I think so.
You have sort of
maybe not an argument, but certainly if you walk into a room, you can sort of read the room a little bit. You can feel if something's not quite right, or maybe you walk into a room and it's upbeat.
Right. So that's psychic energy.
Okay.
It's as simple as that. So have you ever met someone and you can tell they're in a bad mood, or they're feeling sad, or they're feeling happy? Are you aware of that?
More so with people I know.
More so because you know them pretty well. So we've all got like electric magnetic field. which is scientific. That'll appeal to the engineering side to you.
Yeah.
So it's an electromagnetic field, and it contains information about us.
Okay.
So it contains information about our physical well-being, our mental state, our emotional state. It also contains memories, information about our past, our present, our future.
Yeah.
So have you ever felt someone you don't know very well and they get too close to you? You sort of want to say, step back, get out of my space.
That's my space, yeah.
Do you understand that feeling?
Yeah, for sure.
It takes a while to let people get... Because
Yeah.
what it is, they're getting too close to your aura.
Okay.
They're getting too close to your aura, to your psychic energy. You don't want them getting too close to you.
Okay.
Because they're picking up your energy.
Yeah.
So how psychic works is that if I meet someone, very good example of that, I've got two examples. So one was when I was on the cafe and I had my book and I was presenting my book, and the guy, Mike, came up to me, and he came up to me as soon as he got close to me, I got a really bad headache. As soon as he went away, the headache went. And then he came back again, the same thing happened.
Yeah.
And then he was interviewing me, and I said to him, "You getting headaches lately?" And he goes, "Yeah, how do you know?" I said, "Because I felt it." When he came close to me,
Yeah.
while I was talking to him, my ear went flutter, 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 my left ear. And I said to him, "You've got a problem with your left ear." And he goes, "Oh my God, you're good." And I said, "I know, I can just feel it, and these are your ears causing your headaches." So that's how the psychic energy works. And I also, the lady recently in a retail shop, I just got this really blurry, heavy head, and I just said, "What's going on with your mind? What's going on with your head?" She said, "I've had an aneurysm."
Wow.
And then my right knee started hurting right at the corner, got really sore, and I said, "You got a problem with your right knee?" And she said, "Yes, I have." I started getting physically her pain.
Wow.
It happens to me a lot, actually. So that's, or with a psychic, so someone will sit in front of me, for instance, and I'll get like a movement in front of them, and I will see a child, or I get a feeling of a child or a dog or an animal.
Yeah.
So I know they've got someone in their life, a child or an animal. That's how
Yeah.
it works. Or I might see a vision behind them, might see like a chalk and a board, a blackboard, and I know they're a teacher.
Right, so you're picking up on existing energy.
Yes.
That's sort of information that's surrounding them.
Yes.
And you can kind of translate what that is, and you automatically translate it.
Yeah, existing and past sometimes, because so sometimes I might pick up, for instance, I even can get emotional. I might pick up they've been like heartbroken, and I'll go into the energy of them being heartbroken. I go right back to that feeling that they had then.
Right, so they might not be feeling heartbroken
Absolutely.
in the present, but it's something that they've sort of maybe like a past trauma they're carrying around with them.
Yeah, I can.
And maybe you're picking up on that.
I can
sort of
definitely pick up on that.
Okay. Yeah.
And occasionally, the future's interesting as well. So I don't believe I'm a fortune teller.
Right.
But for instance, I may get something that can guide them.
Okay.
So,
and is that psychic?
That's psychic, yes.
Okay.
So how that works is, or there's something they may be thinking about.
Yeah.
And also, I'll explain that in mediumship. I've got a really good example for mediumship as well.
Okay.
So for the psychic, there's a lady that came to see me, and she was like in the banking world. So
your phone's going off. You're very popular, lady.
Okay, we better turn it off.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll go back to it. Yes, so she was in the banking world organisation, and she really wanted to do something else with her life. And people say, "What am I going to do with my life?" So all I got was a pot of honey, a vision of a pot of honey, and I kept on hearing honey, and I just said, "This is a really strange thing.
Right.
Can I please tell what I'm feeling?" And she said, "What is it?" I said, "I'm just getting honey." And she started laughing, and I said, "Why?" She said, "Because my brother's into honey, and I'm thinking about buying some land up north and getting into honey."
Oh, interesting.
So so I'm not fortune telling, but I'm actually giving potential and something that she's been thinking about. So isn't that fascinating?
maybe that is reading the existing energy, right? So she's obviously thinking about it. She's considering it. It's in her field.
Yes.
And then you're picking up on that field.
But how do I explain
Yeah.
the Rugby World Cup? You're privy to that. So not this Rugby World Cup. I talked about it with Annette on her podcast. And in the Rugby World Cup, I was with a whole group of Sparkies and wives, and I was in Japan. I was still in Hong Kong on a Buddha mountain,
Yeah.
And everybody was thinking I should be able to predict the Rugby World Cup, which was quite a stress on me.
Uh-huh.
And we went to a cafe, and I said in my head,
Yeah.
don't ask me who's going to win the Rugby World Cup, because I'll just start guessing it.
Yeah, sure.
I will.
Yeah.
So I just said it in my mind, and then a
Yeah.
voice said to me, Springboks.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to hear it.
Okay.
And then I told people, and then the Springboks,
Yeah.
first of all, they lost against the All Blacks, so I thought, I've got that wrong.
Yeah.
But they end up winning the Rugby World Cup.
Right. Okay.
So
Yeah.
how do I get information like that?
Yeah. Well, next time that voice speaks to you, just send me a cheeky text message, and I'll chuck it on the TAB.
Well, the thing is people ask me, I can't get it.
Right. I won't ask you. Just let me know.
Because when you ask me, that's what I find it quite difficult. People want me to tell their future.
Okay.
I find that my logical brain gets engaged. It's when it comes naturally to me. I can sometimes predict things for the future.
Okay. And that's psychic.
That's definitely psychic.
Okay. Cool. And so what's medium?
Mediumship?
Mediumship. Yeah.
So a medium is when you actually talk to the other side, a different realm.
Okay.
So I'm picking up on your aura. So information about you. But when I'm doing a reading, I explain. So when we die, this aura, this energy, because energy just can't disappear, it has to go somewhere.
Yeah.
So this aura contains your soul and your spirit. It goes to a different dimension where it sort of crosses over and it goes a different realm. And it's sort of healed. Usually it's healed.
Yeah.
And then someone like me is very sensitive, because I'm very sensitive.
Yeah.
So I communicate with my senses.
Yeah. Sensitive to this realm. Is that what you mean?
I'm sensitive to psychic and this realm.
Okay.
So I work with both of. I'll explain my senses in a minute. It's a different subject.
Okay.
So when someone passes away, they now are like an orb. They're an energy, but that orb, that aura, that soul contains still the same information when they're alive.
Okay.
So everything, your body physically dies.
Yeah.
But this energy remains.
Yeah.
So what happens with a spirit that's passed, they communicate.
Yeah.
I'm hearing spirit talk to me, so I'm telling you this. They communicate by impressing upon my aura.
Okay.
So I talked about being sensitive.
Yeah.
So I did talk about I heard something, I saw something, I felt something. Mm-hmm. So generally with psychic, which is picking up a person, or mediumship, it's through my senses. So it's what I feel. Mm-hmm. So like I said, I got a headache, or my knee started getting sore.
Yeah.
It's what I feel. It's what I might get a vision. I said I got a vision of a honey pot.
Yeah.
It's also and what I hear when I said to the South Africa's going to win, it was a Springboks. That's right, Springboks.
Yeah.
I heard it.
So you're like a radio receiver that's tuned into certain frequencies.
That's a very good engineering way of describing it. Yes,
right.
That's how it works.
Okay.
Yeah, does that make sense to you?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
And so when I'm doing a reading for someone or sitting, I go in and out of the psychic and mediumship energy.
Okay.
Come in and out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And I get really tripped up.
Yeah.
When I try to make sense of something, or people try to get me to make sense of something, because then what happens is my creative brain goes and I locks in my logical brain.
Right. Yeah. So you get a message, you can pass that message on, but then you can't sort of dig into it and figure out what the meaning of it is, because it's not your message.
Absolutely. And what I think a message means, I can be completely wrong. So I can give you another good example of it if you want.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
One of the things that Spirit World says to me is that there's beautiful colours over here. They always say to me, there's beautiful colours.
Yeah.
So this lady came to see me, and her mother had passed, and she confirmed that, and I kept getting white hair, and I was thinking, this is really strange, because when spirit passes away, they always say beautiful colours here. I've never heard anybody say white hair. I said to her, your mum is saying to me white hair, and I don't understand it. And she started laughing. And I said, what's so funny? She said, look at my hair, it's white. I said, yeah. And she said she wouldn't let me. I had long dark hair. I wanted to cut my hair and I wanted to go white, and she wouldn't let me. So as soon as she died, I got my hair cut and I went white.
Oh, right, funny.
So so that's what it meant.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay, interesting. So you just pass on messages. You can't sort of decrypt them to figure out what it is, unless
Yeah.
that comes through as well.
Well, sometimes I might say to somebody, what does
Yeah.
that mean to you?
Okay.
And they can explain it to me, but it's never what I think it means quite often.
Yeah, so it's not black and white.
No. Or I think one day I kept on getting Sydney.
Yeah.
And she said, yeah, that's my Uncle Sydney, but I thought Sydney was a place.
Ah, interesting. So it's like in the podcast you did with Gavin, you got something about king? Was it
No,
king?
I got country.
No, country. You were talking about country.
All I heard was his grandmother passed, and she said country. And so my
That's
logical brain, I thought, she said, didn't know about the country or something. I can't remember exactly. But I interpret that as changing countries.
Yeah.
And
It was
I
going to
owned
king
it when it
country.
happened. It's very hard to actually keep that logical brain out of it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Especially being an engineer, that's my fully focus. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I can ask the spirit world questions though.
okay.
So
So it's a two-way channel.
yeah, I can, but what I do, so it's like thunder and lightning.
Yeah.
So you hear the thunder, you see the lightning before you hear the thunder.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'll ask them a question and they will answer, but they'll come back in a way that's different than how I'd answer them.
Right. Okay.
So they expect, so I'd ask them a question and they'll come back a different way. So, example, someone say, well, what sort of man am I going to meet? And I'll get junior to you.
Okay.
So
So kind of like a Yoda.
Yeah.
Speaks a little bit in backwards riddles.
Oh, it's just, it's amazing it's just so poetic how they speak.
Right.
And they speak in 1, 2, or 3 words.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, they just give me one. Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder why that is.
Well, it means so much.
Right. So they're able to pass on a lot of information in very few words.
Yeah. So recently I was asking about something.
Yeah.
Is this true? Is this not true?
Yeah.
Something I was taught growing up.
Okay.
And they just gave me the word fable.
Uh-huh.
And I thought, I don't know what is. I looked into it. I look it up. I love looking at what they give me.
Yeah.
And I looked up fable, and it was like, it is a made-up story, but it's actually the moral to the story. So the actual story isn't true, but it's a fable. It's a moral to it.
Sure.
And that made so much sense to me.
Okay.
It's incredible what they
Yeah.
say.
Right. So it's got a lot of depth.
Very
few words, but a lot of depth to it.
Oh, it's absolutely incredible.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
And so we talk about mediumship.
Yes.
How do you you talk about it in your first podcast? How do you develop mediumship? How did you do that?
Well, I think the first thing is that I had to acknowledge that I wanted to know more. So it's like some people have an interest in anything in life, so they want to know more about it. So I sort of started getting I got fascinated with it. I started getting interested in it, and so I had to be open to wanting more. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I sort of got to it through a difficult time in my life. So that's sometimes people are seeking, like when things go really wrong in our life, we think it's the end of the world, but sometimes it can be a real turning point. It can be something good comes out of it.
Yeah.
So it was a turning point for me, and luckily the lady at the time that gave me a reading was also a teacher.
Oh, okay.
Being brought up Catholic, I always thought that mediums were bad.
Mm-hmm.
We don't go near them. So, and I also thought they were just hippies. That's what I thought. So,
well, a lot of them are, right?
no, they're not.
Well,
Actually, that's completely wrong. And see, this is what
Yeah.
you think, but they're not.
Yeah, I mean,
Absolutely.
if I put psychic into or medium into Google, that's probably what it'll show me.
No, it's not though.
Oh, it's not?
No,
Yeah.
not at all. If you go to a
I'm not saying that's the truth. I'm just saying like it's that stereotype.
it's a stereotype.
It's
yeah.
like if you
Yeah.
if you put engineer into Google, it'll just show you pictures of men with hard hats on.
Yes,
Which
exactly.
is not, it's not reality. It's just, but that's a stereotype. There.
And that's what I brought into the stereotype.
Okay. Yeah,
So I got dressed up in the most terrible red baggy pants that I could find, and this really strange top and beads and everything.
Right.
And I went along to this class, and everybody looked at me like I was really strange, and they were
Yeah.
all dressed up like normal people.
Okay.
So I went along, and I learnt so much, and I learnt a lot from my mistakes. So the first thing the teacher taught me was about psychic work. And so one of the first exercises that I did was she got us to get people to stand behind us and describe them. So I picked up a lady behind me that she was tall, and that was pretty much right, the colour of her hair and things like that. And she's a very clever teacher, and she said to me, so what colour is her watch strap? And I could clearly see a white watch strap. But back in those days, you didn't really get colourful watch straps. You'd get like silver, black, brown, gold.
Yeah.
So I was just too scared. I just wanted to be right. We always want to be right.
Yeah, sure.
I call it our ego.
Yeah.
So I just made it up. And even though I saw a white watch strap, so I said, oh, it's black, it's silver.
Yeah.
And she couldn't say no. And so the teacher said to me, you know what colour it is, but you're just too scared to say it. And I went, yeah, I do. It's white. And it was white. But it was really good because I learnt then that my logical mind, that in the psychic, but then I just got into mediumship mainly through, I got it through meditation. And so what happened with meditation, because it's a different frequency and you have to be very relaxed for the spirit world to communicate with you.
Okay.
So what started happening by me calming my thoughts down and my mind down and get into a semi-conscious state, I started connecting with the spirit world. And one of the most fascinating, I learned a lot, one of the most fascinating experiences I had was with a Native American Indian. So a lot of spiritual people have like the Native Americans around them, or Native American guys, because they're very spiritual. But this is quite a different experience because I was always brought up, I'm ashamed of it now, but when I grew up, I was brought up in the area of the cowboys and Indians, and it was a stereotype.
Sure.
Of what Indian, and I had no idea what Native American Indians really were, and even at that time I still didn't know. And he connected with me, and he showed me how hard his life was, and he took me to this place that was on this it was like a hill, and it was really rocky, and it was freezing, and it was really cold, and he said that it's so cold, and these are the conditions we had to live with, and we often went hungry, and it was a really hard life. And he told me that through meditation I connect to spirit, and since then I found out that to be correct, and it wasn't what my stereotype was, and that was from connecting to the other side.
Yeah, interesting.
It changed my whole perspective.
Yeah. So it's like a life-changing event at that point.
Yeah, it was. And then I got into doing readings.
Okay. Yeah, and how did that develop?
It was really interesting. I sort of tend to throw myself in the deep end, a bit like with these podcasts. Yeah. And I learn as I go.
Okay.
So not all mediums use tarot cards, and I was quite scared of them because Catholics don't really like that. But I started to look at doing that, and I just taught myself. And so I started just doing tarot card readings for people. And just learning myself. And I just used to see people come to my home, and I used to do readings, and I started developing from there on in. And then what happened is that I got quite into mediumship as well, and then spirit world would come through. But I found, because I was younger, I was sort of like more confident with my mediumship. Okay. And I had a really good teacher, and so I'd definitely say, well, that's what I've got. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And so you're confident then now?
I've had to, when I came out, because I had a break from it.
Okay, yeah.
So I was quite confident, but there was I think her name was Mary Agnes. So this lady came to me for a reading. This is a good example. She came to me for a reading, and I said, "Oh, you're going on a journey soon to the UK?" And she said, "Yeah, I am." She confirmed that. And I said, "This is like fortune telling." So I said, "When you get there, your legs are going to swell. Okay. And you're going to find that you had a great aunt called Mary Agnes, and she never married, and there was money that was given to the family, but it was taken through the war, and it was a famous English farm." And she said, "The only thing I know that you're saying correct is that we're travelling to the UK." So she got to the UK, and her legs swelled. Then she found out she had a great aunt called Mary Agnes. She found out she never married. And then she also found out that they had shares in Mayfair. That was a famous English farm.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And another thing about the future...
So that's mediumship?
That was mediumship.
Okay, yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
so
I was. I'm getting good at this. See?
You are. So I started off psychically saying you're going to the UK, and then I got told by her aunt Mary Agnes,
Right.
this information.
Yeah.
But it wasn't confirmed straight away. But I was so confident back then. I'd say, well, I know you can't take it, but I know it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And there was another situation with one of my friends came to see me, and she wanted to know about getting a ring when her mum died. All she cared about was his family heirloom.
Yeah.
And I just saw her father's face, and he winked at me, and he said, "You're going to get more than you think." And she started arguing with me because there was a home that was worth maybe $240,000 at the time.
Yeah.
And it was going to be divided between 3 people. And she said, "There's no way I'm going to get more than that." And I said, "Yes, you are. And you're going to get this much sooner than what you think."
Right.
And she argued with me and told me I was wrong.
Yeah.
2 weeks later, it was Mother's Day. And her mother wrote her a cheque of advanced inheritance of $320,000.
Wow. Interesting.
She took me out for dinner and said, "Sorry, though."
Did she? Yeah. Nice. Somewhere nice.
Yeah, it was actually. But it's
Yeah.
a Mission Bay. But what I'm saying is that's sort of how it works. It's like,
Yeah.
so back then I found that I was a little bit more confident. And then, so then I had, life happens, right? So life happens. So then I was busy being a single mum, bringing my children up, being a corporate job. So I sort of pulled away from mediumship for a while. And then I ended up going to the States, which is, I find that we talked to Susan Barnes about the States. I think it's a very spiritual place. And I went to the Grand Canyon. I found it very spiritual. And I had this Indian music going, and I was with a friend at the time, and these drums, and I was inspired by the spirit world. And they said, "This is your passion, this is your purpose, you're here to help other people through your mediumship, you're an expert as a medium, we want you to pursue this, you'll be this is what your main job will be being a medium." And at that time I thought, come off it, this is ridiculous, because I've got 3 kids to feed, I've got a mortgage to pay, I won't be doing that. I argued with them, I was going to be able to do this.
Right.
I thought, how can I'm a single mum, so
Yeah. And so how did that unfold?
So when I first met John, it was just like life as usual, and he wasn't sure about me being a medium, but that was like, that's in my book. I explained how I held my power with that.
Yeah.
And then I think the main thing was I didn't really have a space to do it. That was my but that led me to becoming a medium. So I was helping a friend with an event at Albany, and she asked me to be part of a first show of demonstration, and I said I'd jump on the deep end again, so I did.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting. So 2 things happened at this event. Was I had some flyers for the show, and I said to her, "Where do you want me to take the flyers?" And she said, "I don't know, let your guys take you." And never a true word spoken. So what happened, 2 things happened. So one was I met this girl, and she told me about the Arthur Funny College.
Yeah.
And I never looked back. I thought the Arthur Funny College just like, whoa, alerted me.
Yeah.
And then the second thing that happened was I met someone from Goody's Bookshop, and I knew that I wasn't doing my readings because I didn't have a space to do it in.
Yeah.
So I did both those things. I went to Goody's Bookshop, and I met a lovely lady called Karen, who's called Kara in my book, which I'll be interviewing at some point.
Okay.
And she was definitely the one beneath my wings. So
Yeah.
so I did a lot of practicing on her. I'd bring through lots of different people from her family.
Yeah.
And got lots of examples, and she'd check up, and I was 100% right. So I started practicing again, like getting back on the bike.
Right. Yeah.
And then this amazing lady told me about Arthur Funny College. And so that was me. My son was living over in England, so I was off, and that's the next part of my journey. So I sort of had this gap of developing survival, and I went back into it. So in my another next podcast, I'll talk about my journey from Arthur Funny College and how I developed from there.
Oh, interesting. So you started off, you realised you had a gift.
Yes.
You were very confident with your gift.
Yes.
But probably not very competent with your gift because you hadn't done the study behind it.
Exactly.
Then you had a bit of a break.
Yeah.
Because of life circumstances.
Yes.
And you came back to it, and started working on the competence part.
Yes, I was sort of confident, but there was a lot of things that I found it's quite sort of like a little bit people call airy-fairy or wo-wo.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of these beliefs that weren't real, to be honest.
Okay.
And so because I was so open in the beginning, I took on everything.
Right, so you don't know what what is, what's what, right? You don't know what's bollocks and what's not.
What's correct and what isn't. Yes.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
so when I went to the Arthur Phinney College, it was great. It was like not only like-minded people, but the grounding was just incredible. And so I went more to the scientific side of it, because Arthur Phinney got spiritual national unions. It's a religion.
Yeah.
It's a science.
Yeah.
And it's a philosophy.
Okay.
And so a lot of the nonsense that I believed in was sort of, I don't know, I sort of knocked out of me, but I learned a lot, and it made a lot more sense. So it's a bit like if you have bad habits. So someone could be natural at playing tennis and you're good at hitting the ball. Yeah. But then you learn to do tennis. Yeah. And it's a lot harder.
Yeah. You get your technique.
Yeah. Yeah. And get your bad habits, but then you learn to do.
For sure. Yeah, it makes complete sense.
So it's the same as we're going to talk about development of other people.
Yeah.
So people quite often ask me that question. Yeah. They say to me, well, how do you develop?
Yeah. So I'm a person that knows nothing about mediumship and psychic. And so if I'm starting my journey now, through someone that's been through it from being nothing to being a worldwide known medium, where do I start and how do I progress?
Okay, so that's a really big question. Yeah. Like, how long's a piece of string? I think first of all, we've got to have the intention. Okay. So it's like you go to the gym. Yeah. We like running or training. Yeah. So I think that it's all in the doing and doing it. So it doesn't really matter where you start. You just got to start somewhere. Yeah. One of the things that I did is I read a lot. I read an awful lot about spiritual books and got the information and the education. I also joined a circle. So in New Zealand, they have circles. You have overseas circles and teachers. Okay. There's spiritual churches as well. Yeah. Okay. There's things like the SNUI that I've talked about. There's this Edgar Casey training that you can do. There's lots of teachers out there.
Right. So there's formal courses. And training you can do. Yeah. And then there is just being part of like the community, spiritual community.
Yes, like being part of a gym or part of that. Right. Okay. Anything like that. You become part of it, and you meet like-minded people. Okay. I'd also say that if you want to be the best, then learn by the best. Yeah. Makes sense. That's what I would say. Okay. Yeah, but it also comes down to what you put in, you get out. Yeah. So just like anything in life, if you want to be good at something, you've got to put the time, you've got to put the effort, you could have all their natural ability. Yeah. But without putting in a bit of you've got to put a lot of effort in. You got to be committed. Consistent. And consistent, that's right. Okay. Yeah. And if you fall off, get back on track again. I think it's also good to have a mentor, or it's good to have people that encourage you and believe in you as well. Okay. Because I think I've had some really good people that, like Karen, for instance, was really good. Other friends that have been really good at. Yeah. Because I had some really good friends that encouraged me in the beginning, and then Karen came back into my life, and she was that person I needed at that time to encourage me, empower me. Yeah. So looking out for those people, those little gems that on your side. It's a team thing. Yeah. Yeah. The wind beneath your wings. Those people that believe in you. Yeah. Yeah, positive forces in your life. Positive forces, I think it's like with anything, isn't it? For sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I believe in that. So, so hopefully I've helped everybody today. I've talked about a different part of my journey. I've explained, is everybody psychic and a medium? Yeah. And they can be if they want to, but they have to work harder at it. Most people are psychic. It's a bit like animals are psychic, they have that intuition. Mm-hmm. I've talked about the difference between psychic and mediumship, how it's quite different. Yeah. About my own experiences and what I learned from it, and how you can evolve yourself from it. Yeah. Yeah, well, I learned a lot. Did you? Yeah, I did. Yeah, I had no idea what a psychic was or a medium was. You just seen your mum be one. That's right. Yeah. It's sounds comical, but didn't know. Yeah, well, that's fair enough. So now I feel a little bit smarter. That's good. So if you like this podcast and you'd like to hear more, please go to subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you again in the future. Blessings and love, Kerry-Marie.